I'm Mary Linney. I'm the chair of the DCF Committee. And the other members of the committee, I'm going to let you introduce yourselves.
Sure. I'm Lauren Chabot, and I am the librarian at Main Street Middle School in Montpelier.
I'm Grace Green, the incredibly rude person who's eating in front of you. I'm the youth services consultant at the Department of Libraries, and I'm really sorry about this, but it was my only option. Can't wait to see it on video.
I'm Julie Pickett. I'm the children's librarian at the Stowe Free Library.
I'm Caitlin Corliss from the Essex Free Library.
I'm Susanna Patterson, and I work at the Sustainability Academy, one of Burlington's K-5 magnets.
And I'm also a librarian at Brattleboro Area Middle School. I probably should have said that. Okay, so this year we sort of listened and responded to the nature of this conference, and we decided to add a little bit more technology to what we normally do. So Lauren graciously created a Google site for us, created pages for each one of us, and then let us do what we wanted a little bit. So what she's going to do, she's going to manipulate the site, and we're going to go from book to book. They're done in alphabetical order, so they should match what's in the booklet. And we're going to show you some kind of fun things that you can either do with the book or just ways to incorporate technology into promoting the DCF list.
And I'm just going to apologize ahead of time. The display looks kind of funky when I was connected to the monitor, but it looks pretty nice when you're not connected to a projector. Thank you. So I'm actually up first with City of Orphans by Avi. And City of Orphans. It's 1893 in New York City. 13-year-old Max lives in a tenement apartment with his family. He spends his days on the streets as a newsie, helping to earn money for them. The streets aren't safe, though. The Plug Ugly Gang, a rough group of young men, are a threat. Their sinister boss is plotting to take control of all the newsies on the Lower East Side. While escaping the gang one day, Willa, an orphan living on the street, saves Max and slowly becomes a part of his family. Meanwhile, Max's older sister Emma, who works at the upscale Waldorf Hotel, is arrested for stealing and is placed in the Tombs, the crowded, dismal, and dangerous city jail. Max and Willa locate Bartleby Donnick, a private detective who encourages Max to do some investigation on his own at the hotel. While working undercover as a bellboy at the Waldorf, Max discovers Willa's father alive and well and at the heart of the mystery. And if you go back to this site, there's a couple links down here. Avi actually has kind of an interesting Facebook page that's worth taking a look at, and there's a really great reading guide here as well. So.
Okay, Close to Famous by Joan Bauer. On this page, I just do want to show you, I don't know, do you see the links?
Down below.
Down below, okay. There's a Joan Bauer homepage, which is great, and she does a little interview about the book. Kids or people have asked her questions about it, and that's really worth pulling up, and you could use that in your classroom. This book is about a 12-year-old girl, Foster McPhee, who's going through a lot. Her father has died in Iraq. Her mother has an abusive boyfriend, and she can't read. One thing she can do is bake, and her favorite thing to bake is cupcakes, and she believes you can save the world one cupcake at a time, and they're going around the room for you. She has a dream. She wants to be famous. She wants to be a famous celebrity chef. One of the things she can do is cook by watching chefs on TV, because she's struggling with reading. She can't really read a recipe card, but she can watch Celebrity Chef. And if you scroll down a little bit, I did have a YouTube video of a little girl who is on YouTube that reminds me of Foster McPhee. You want to try to pull it up? Yeah. And we'll see, we'll just show a little bit of it.
Welcome back to Cooking with Autumn. I'm your host, Autumn Pearson, and I'm going to show you how to make chocolate cookies. Now first you need a large bowl. Then you need chocolate cake mix. Then you need 3 eggs. Then you need 1 1/3 cups of water. Then you need a half a cup of oil.
We might not want to watch the whole thing. All right, we can stop. You get the idea. It's really cute, and you could do something in your classroom with making a video for your kids. There is a message in here about famous and whether or not it's really all that great to be famous. Okay, and I've got the next book too, which is Queen of Hearts. So we go from solving the world with cupcakes to somebody who has tuberculosis. Sorry about that. This is a story of 16-year-old Marie Claire, who during World War II in the 1940s contracts tuberculosis, along with her brother and her sister, and they are all sent to a sanatorium to recover. And this story is set in a sanatorium, and I just want to read you a passage in this book that the author has written. The author is Martha Brooks. I grew up in a medical family on the grounds of a tuberculosis sanatorium in Annette, Manitoba, where my father was a thoracic surgeon and my mother a nurse. As a kid, I'd tear down the hilly road on my bike, black lab yapping at the wheels. Patients, both young and old, pressed their faces against the balcony screens and laughed and called down to me to stop and talk. I'd come to an abrupt halt, back up the bike, crane my neck, and then we'd chat. I was lonely, they missed their families, it was perfect. At the beginning of the last century, tuberculosis caused over 1/3 of the deaths in young people ages 15 to 35. Imagine being 16 years old, contracting TB, and then being confined to a long-term care facility. How would one respond? It was a question I wanted answered fictionally. And that's the Queen of Hearts. And I do have some photographs on this page, and I also do have a link to a book review, a YouTube book review. And you know, we can go on. I'm not sure if we have time to show it, but yeah, I don't think so. I said the same thing.
Okay, and I have Troublemaker by Andrew Clements. A likable 6th grade prankster, a brother with a past. It's hard to keep a promise when you have a reputation as a troublemaker. Clay Hensley is in elementary school, and he's made a very large mistake. He's decided to draw a caricature of his elementary school principal as a donkey. That does not go over well, although his principal is willing to give him $10 for the picture and hang it on his wall. So Clay thinks he's out scot-free, till his brother comes home from jail and tells him that he needs to mend his ways. That's very hard when you already have a built-in reputation, and it's Clay's journey to we'll say self-fulfillment and maybe trying to find his passion. So I created a glog for Clay, and hopefully it will load correctly. I don't know if any of you have used Glogster, but it's somewhat similar to Pinterest. So I just created a bulletin board of things that Clay likes. And they're pieces, they're sort of ephemera that relate to the book. There is, his favorite book is drawing caricatures, obviously. He's got a list of the best school stories ever, and those all happen to be written by Andrew Clements, and his mailing address is on there. Had to do a little plug. He likes to draw, so there's colored pencils. There's an unfortunate incident with pumpkins that he's possibly blamed for, so there's some pumpkins on there as well. There are items that he likes to fling in the cafeteria, SpaghettiOs, green Jell-O, and cheese cubes. And there's actually an embedded video. It might not work here, but if you click on the obnoxious, it's working right now. There's an artist doing a caricature. And the pièce de résistance is a little sticky note from his principal. Grace, would you read that, the little sticky note? I made it myself.
Clay, it has truly been a pleasure watching you grow into such a fine young man. This year we really got to know one another better, and I'm so pleased with how you have found your passion in art. Keep in touch. Best of luck next year, Alfred Kellen.
And there's a little note at the top that says from the desk of the principal, something like that. So anyway, it was a lot of fun to do. It's a very easy interactive tool that you can use with kids, and you can just embed different pieces to it. It gives you access to things like tacks and paper clips and push pins, and it's a great way to create sort of a visual representation of a character. And it was artistic. So.
Lemonade Crime. I'm going to let Jacqueline Davies tell you about her book, The Lemonade Crime. And the one thing, yeah.
The Lemonade War came about because my two boys got into a fight. It was a really hot day, like 85 degrees out. And my younger son decided to have a lemonade stand. My older son and his friend came over and said, "Can we join you at the lemonade stand?" And my younger son said, "No way, you can't show up at the last minute and think you're going to split the profits with us." So they got into an argument about that. And finally I heard my older son say, "If you won't let us join you in the lemonade stand, we're going to set up our own lemonade stand across the street and we're going to take all your business away from you." And I was watching this argument develop.
How it ended, you have to read the book.
She's talking about the Lemonade War first, which is which comes first, and then she will talk about the Lemonade Crime. And you really don't have to read the Lemonade War first. This does stand alone. If you do, it will be a more enriching experience. Did we lose her?
We lost the connection
Okay.
to the projector.
Uh-oh.
Because it was going just fine on my computer.
All right. Well, in the Lemonade Crime, the kids obviously in Lemonade War, they have a competition. They make money. The total amount of money they make is $208. The beginning of the Lemonade Crime, their money is stolen, and they are convinced that they know who took their money. This classmate of theirs arrives in school, and he's bragging about his new Xbox system, and they think he stole the money. And they can't let it go. They're so upset about it that the younger of the two, the daughter Jessie, the sister Jessie, decides that they're going to have a mock trial. They're going to arrest this classmate, Scott Spencer, and they're going to include all the members of the 4th grade as people in the court. There's going to be the judge, the attorneys, the jury, the witnesses, and they're going to try Scott Spencer. This book is about fairness, is circumstantial evidence, and atonement. And it's actually, a lot is packed into this little book. It's written for the younger audience, but there's enough in here for older readers. You've learned a lot about the legal system.
I can discuss Titanic Sinks. So Titanic Sinks is by Barry Dennenberg. And there are a lot of Titanic books, as I'm sure you know, coming out this year with the 100th anniversary. But this is one that really has a creative, innovative take on the sinking of the Titanic. It's a collection of fictionalized newspaper articles, journal entries, and interviews, and it really shows the entire Titanic experience from the creation to the launching, to the sinking, and then to the public's response to the sinking. It's a real, more of a personal look at the Titanic, and it really shows what it was like to be aboard the ship during this this important piece of history. There is a link to Barry Dennenberg's website, which has some other links. But that's really all that I have to say about Titanic Sinks.
Good. Lauren, can we go back to Cheshire Cheese Cat? Okay. Okay. An alley cat with a taste for cheese, a mouse with a way with words. We have great expectations for their friendship in this book. This is a friendship story that takes place in Victorian England at a pub called the Ye Olde Cheshire Cheese Inn that is frequented by Charles Dickens. And yes, he really did sip his ale at this pub. Lauren, can you just go down? I just want to show them the interactive guide with Peachtree Press did a great activity guide, and the link is here. You can look at a wide variety of things. There's links to Charles Dickens, to the inn, to Victorian London, the Tower of London. There's some great examples of curriculum that you can use with kids. It's a charming book, and the School Library Journal just did a review on the audio, and it got a big red star.
Yeah.
I love the story.
It's a great story.
And then on the rest of the site, I think I just have other links to... The author's website, Carmen Agarditi. There's a link to the British monarchy if you want to know more about Queen Victoria, a formidable dame. Another link to the Ravens in the Tower. There's a great video that's done by one of the beefeaters that works at the tower. And lastly, there's a teacher's guide for the Cheshire Cheese Cat.
So, this is another biography about Amelia Earhart. And that's what I thought when I saw it first, because there have been so many. But this is totally different and totally wonderful. Even though you know what happened, when you're reading this book, you think this time it's going to come out differently. Because Candace Fleming, the author, builds the suspense so much, and you think, she's going to make it, she's going to make it, she's going to find that little tiny island in the Pacific, and she's going to land on it this time. And so she builds the suspense with the story of that fateful day, and in between the chapters of that, she tells, she gives a biography of Amelia Earhart. So that's all I'm saying about this one. We've got Candace Fleming has a website, and there's a video of her on there. Of course, there's lots of resources about Amelia Earhart. Oh, I will say one other thing. There is a team currently looking yet again for the remains of the plane, and there's some news clips about Hillary Clinton meeting with them and sending them off and wishing them well. So, even though in some ways you feel like this is, we've done this, and we need to move on, people are still looking very seriously for the remains of the plane.
This is Hidden by Helen Frost, who also wrote Diamond Willow, which was on our list a few years ago. When Wren hears the gunshot, she hides and she stays hidden. When her car is stolen and all the way to the car thief's garage. Only Dara, the thief's daughter, knows that she's there. When Wren escapes, Dara's dad goes to jail, and when the girls meet at summer camp years later, they immediately recognize each other's names. With all this history, can they ever be friends? This is an exquisite novel written in verse by Helen Frost, and as you read it, you'll find that there is another hidden poem within the lines of the poems you're reading from Dara's point of view and Wren's point of view, and then the alternating points of view at the end. Really beautiful story and high interest, I think, for a variety of ages.
Can you say that again? The hidden poem?
There's a hidden poem. She often includes new kinds of poetry in her poems, so if you read the last word of every hanging line,
tell you in the back of the
At the
book
back of the
how to
book,
do it.
it'll tell you exactly what to do.
It changes
but
the whole
it's a whole nother
book.
story that's written inside her line. So the word hidden has a lot of meaning in this book.
My name is Rachel. It's the Depression. Rachel's father moves his children to a small rundown farm in the hope of finding work. She and her siblings leave behind all that they know and love in the city, and they are now on this old ramshackle farm. There's no running water, the roof leaks, the bathroom's outside, and the dad they don't have a mom. The mom has been gone from their lives for a long time. The father thinks he has a job in this new town, and he finds out he doesn't, and he has to hit the road to find whatever work he can. And the three children are left by themselves. So this is a story of how they survive for most of the summer without an adult with them. And it is quite an interesting story. I think kids maybe in Vermont who went through the floods will be amazed at how tough these kids are. I brought a can of gray-green beans because there's a scene in the book where when they move into this farmhouse, in the pantry there are glass jars of beans that have been left behind by the former owner. And they're gray-green, and there's no way these kids are going to eat them. And then as the summer progresses and they don't have any more money and they don't have any more food, they have to eat the gray-green beans. So I'm not sure what I have for links on this page. She does not have an author website. So I just embedded photographs of the Depression, and there are in the manual, there are links to websites that you could go on to further the kids' knowledge of the Depression.
Addie on the Inside is James Howe's newest book, a companion to The Misfits and Totally Joe. This book is also written in verse, And it's from the point of view of Addie, who is spunky, she wants to change the world, but she's still trying to navigate everyday life. To sort of demonstrate the kind of poetry that's in this book, I asked Fabiola, who is one of BHS Burlington High School students who was a runner-up in Vermont's Poetry Out Loud competition. So she will be reading a poem that comes in the very beginning of the book, written by James Howe to the reader.
And who do you see?
Who do you see?
Who Do You See by James Howe. The poems that follow are written in the voice of Addie on the inside, but this poem is written from me to you, writer to reader. I want to ask you, who do you see when you think of me? Am I young or old, wise or a fool, teacher or friend? Who do you see when you think of you? Are you an outsider? Cool, distant, angry, swimming against the current, or are you in the flow? When they tell you this is who you are, do you say yes or no? Who do you see when you look at them? You know the ones I mean. The others, the olders, who wear the labels you gave them until they give them back, saying, I believe these belong to you. Who do you see when a girl like Addie walks down the hall, sharp-eyed, tall? When a girl like Addie raises her hand in class for the 100th time, offering opinion as fact and outrage as opinion, wearing her attitudes more comfortably than her less than awesome clothes. Who do you see when you look beyond the skin and the surface, when you drift to sleep, when you are the person no one else knows? Who are you on the inside? Don't answer these questions, not yet. First, open your eyes, your mind, your heart. See.
Jack loves everything about elephants, but when his mother abandons him at a campground in Maine, Jack feels lost. Will meeting an actual live elephant help him find his mom? Small as an Elephant by Jennifer Richard Jacobson.
There is a link. You go down.
Yeah, there should be a link. One of our other members, Linda Somerville, put this together, and there's a link to her website, and there's also a book trailer that we'd like to show.
Inside Out and Back Again by Fana Lai is a story of 10-year-old Ha and her family as they journey from wartime Saigon to Alabama in the 1970s. She is different than her classmates and feels it powerfully, and Ha must also adjust to the losses of her old life. Her father, a papaya tree she raised from a seed, and her brother's chickens being smart in school. Her voice resonates with the musical Vietnamese language as she searches for her old life and a new home. And this page was put together by another one of our members, Bill Clark. And I'm not sure what else is on the page.
Yeah, she's got a interview, and this won the Newbery, or was it the National Book Award?
National Book
National
Award.
Book Award.
And a Newbery Honor Award.
Newbery Honor. And it's written in verse. Waiting for the Magic was another one of Bill's books. This is what he has given me to read. 4 mismatched dogs and a patient cat possess special gifts. Adopted themselves, each animal in turn adopts one member of the family. The children in the family begin to hear the animal's surprising thoughts about life, and something magical begins to happen to them all. This is Patricia McLaughlin, and there is a link there to her website, and she's a dog lover.
The Apothecary by Miley Malloy. When the daughter of 2 blacklisted Hollywood writers meets the son of a mysterious apothecary in Cold War London, be prepared for anything. A truth serum, an invisibility potion, the ability to transform into something else, like a bird, perhaps, a Chinese scientist, Russian spies, and maybe the chance to save the world. Miley Malloy is actually an adult author. This is her first foray into children's literature, and she has a distinction of being part of a duo. Her brother Colin just wrote a famous book last year called Wildwood as well. So on this site, there's a YouTube video that I'd like to show eventually, but I also put a couple of other things on here. Because it's the 1950s, I added the duck and cover drill from Bert the Turtle, which I don't remember doing. I'm too young, thank God.
I do. I do. We had the duck and cover.
But you do remember it. And there was actually, what I found out is there was a different motto in Great Britain, but this is the famous one from the Civil Defense Administration. Then I also added another link to the Chelsea Physic Garden, and that shows up prominently in the story. And this is actually in England and figures prominently. And I think there's one other link to a place called Nova Zembla that does actually exist. And so there's an American University case study on that. And then it embedded a video with video interview on YouTube with Miley Malloy that's probably about an hour long. I'm sorry, 10 minutes long, and then I think there's a link to something else.
10 minutes an hour.
Yeah, Apothecary website. Okay,
It's
but I want to show
only
you
10 minutes long, but it seems like an hour.
Right. Okay, and then this is yes, and then this is the book trailer.
How long does this see?
No, this is a minute. It seems like an hour.
It seems like 10 minutes.
Stop.
The music sounds a little Harry Potter.
Heart and Soul. A grim-faced black Revolutionary War soldier, a young mother holding a baby and staring out from a yellow field with vain, work-hardened hands. There is the March in Washington, the Montgomery bus boycott. Soldiers of war, citizens from all walks of life, and famous figures infuse these pages with the humanity behind the history of African American life from the Revolution to the present day in Heart and Soul. And this is Kadir Nelson's Coretta Scott King Award winner, Heart and Soul. Beautiful book. The best part of this book is the voice. A lot of nonfiction, I think, is written in the same way. This book is different. The narrator is a grandmotherly type of figure, and you can just feel her voice infused in all the pages. And this is one of Bill's pages, and it looks like he has Kadir Nelson's website. and a book trailer.
I think this is an interview with
An
the
inter-
author.
oh.
instead. So.
And the illustrations in this are astounding. They're really, really beautiful, as you can see.
Should we move on?
We didn't have enough time. No. Let's move on. We can go back.
So this is The Flint Heart by John and Catherine Patterson. And John Rocco did the illustrations. I imagine most of you have seen this book already. John Rocco has also done a number of picture books. And the illustrations are totally fabulous. He had a great time creating the elves and, no, what were they? They weren't elves. They weren't gnomes.
Fairies?
I guess that's just what they were. They were fairies, absolutely. So let's see the book trailer.
This also is not
Harry Potter.
This is a great read aloud,
Oh, it's
too.
great.
Especially the talking hot water bottle.
Yeah, that's Julie's favorite part. I guess we can just keep talking throughout the whole trailer, right? That was a hot water bottle that Julie liked so well. And there's a dog in it, so we know it's a good book.
Requisite for DCF books.
Got the Cheshire's cat, too.
Yeah.
So I know many of you probably know the backstory about this, and that is that you don't, so I'm going to tell you. Okay, so because this is a very unusual kind of a book for Catherine Patterson, but the story is that a few years ago, the Hornbook had asked several authors, famous children's book authors, what one book they would want to make sure that children in the 21st century knew about. And Margaret Mahy said The Flint Heart by Eden Philpotts, which was published in 1910 and had long since been out of print. So John Patterson is a huge fan of Margaret Mahy, and he decided anything that was good enough for Margaret Mahy was more than good enough for him. So he tracked down the book, read it, loved it, and tried to get various publishers to reprint it. But it's not a book that 21st century children could ever read because of there are a lot of politics included. It was very rambling and so on. So eventually, the Pattersons decided to take the book and adapt it. She's kept most of the language in the book is from Eden Philpotts, but she's cut out a lot and made transitions and so on. And there is an option for a motion picture. Their son David is going to write the screenplay, and I don't remember who's going to. I don't know. What do I know about Hollywood? But eventually, it'll be made. It'll be made into a
Daniel
movie.
Radcliffe is going to be in it.
Daniel Radcliffe's going to be in it.
Seriously?
And what's the name of the girl?
And with music by John Williams.
Yes.
Okay. Oh,
Sorry.
questions?
A little question. It looks to me like this could be a good read aloud. What would you say grade level wise if it weren't just the DCF book? If a
To read aloud?
third grade teacher wanted to read.
Oh, sure, absolutely, yeah.
Zelly really, really, really wants a dog. But how will dragging around a practice dog made out of an orange juice jug get her what she really wants?
Oh no.
And what will her friends think? Yeah. This was one of Linda Somerville's books, and she likes props. So she made the orange juice jug dog.
And can I say a little something
You
about
can.
this book? Because it's so cute. Her parents don't want her to have a pet. They don't want her to have a dog, and she really wants a dog. And her grandfather moves in, and his wife has recently died, and he's this kind of cranky, crotchety guy, and he comes up with the idea, hey, if you can show your parents that you can take care of a pretend dog, maybe they'll let you have a real dog. And she doesn't buy it, but it's sort of foisted on her, and she has to prove that she can take care of a real dog by walking this dog twice a day, feeding the dog twice a day, cleaning up after the dog poop outside. When she wants to go off with her friends, no, have you walked OJ? You gotta walk OJ. And so she, I'm not gonna tell you the ending because I'll spoil it, but the grandfather is Yiddish, and there's a lot of wonderful Yiddish words of wisdom in this story, and it's set in Burlington.
Vermont?
Vermont! Kids will love it. They walk OJ down the streets, you'll recognize.
The author is a family friend of a couple of women I know
Yep.
that work as subs in our school, and she is thrilled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Her book is
Oh, great.
and very open to Skyping with your kids.
Yeah, great.
Should we show we can show the trailer?
Sure. I didn't know there was a trailer.
There is a.
You were better though.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to make it full screen.
I know.
What's that?
Okay, get the ball. You want the ball? Go get the ball. Here, Lindsay, you can do it. Roll over. Roll And there you go.
And the good news is we don't have to go away from the theme of dogs for our next one. There is a little bit of self-indulgence here. That's my dog over there. First time ever that the DCF committee put a Sheltie book on their list. So this is some kind of a milestone that I hope you're all excited about. So A Dog's Way Home is the story of a girl and her dog. The family was coming home from actually a dog show, and they were in an accident, and the dog ran away. And the whole story is as a Lassie type story of the dog trying to find its way back to its girl, and the girl trying to find the dog. So what I want to show you is what is the story of May 3rd, 2012, if you don't mind, ma'am.
I'll bring it right up.
Would you please? Thank you. So, okay, Bobby Pyron is the author. She obviously has Shelties of her own. And 2 months ago, she learned about the story of this woman and her dog. It was a life imitating art sort of story. This woman and her husband and 2 Shelties were in a car accident, and one Sheltie was killed outright. Both of the people were injured. The husband eventually died from his injuries. Wait. So she's without her husband, without one of her dogs, but she is convinced that the second dog was alive. So for weeks, her family, her friends, volunteers searched for the dog. And I think it was 5 weeks, I'm not sure.
Oh, 53 days, yeah. It's right there, it says it right there.
You all knew that too. 53 days, and finally the Sheltie and the woman were reunited. Okay, so that is really cool, but wait till you hear the next chapter. The next chapter is she contacted Bobby Pyron. It turns out they live relatively close to one another in Utah. And she said, we've actually met before because I went to one of your book signings and I bought A Dog's Way Home. A Dog's Way Home was in the car when they had that accident. And the woman's son held on to it and said, because this book is in the car, I know we're going to find the dog.
I've got chills.
That's chill.
Nice.
Yeah, really. So this woman, by the way, is, some of you know me, I like dogs, but this woman is totally obsessed. She, on her blog, I'm getting off the topic a little bit, but Fido and Friends is her blog, and she interviews an author who has a dog every couple of weeks and tells their story. Lita Schubert has been on this blog.
No doubt.
No doubt. But I haven't written anything. So anyhow, we can move on. There might be some.
Hard act to follow now. I don't have any dogs. I just have Alan say.
You have a beautiful cat, though.
Yes. So this is Drawing from Memory by Alan Say. It's a memoir of his youth and young adolescence growing up in Japan. As a young boy, he loved to draw, he loved art. It was his passion to him, but his parents did not support that, and they told him he needed a respectable career. And as the story unfolds, when he was 12, his grandmother made him an offer that if he could apply himself to his studies and get into this very prestigious school in Tokyo, that they would put him up in a studio apartment and he could go to school and live on his own in Tokyo. So for the first time in his life, he put his mind to his studies and gets accepted to this school. And just before his 13th birthday, he gets his own place in Tokyo and starts living on his own. And his first night there, he happens to read an article about another young boy who also wanted to be an artist and found his mentor, Noro Shinpei, in Tokyo and asked to become an apprentice. So Alan Say does the same thing the next day, and so begins his path to becoming an artist. And this book is just beautiful. It's kind of a graphic novel. This is just a preview from Google Books, so not all the pages are shown, but he combines these great photographs from his childhood, sketches, and watercolors that he has made recently, and then also he includes original cartoons from his mentor, Noro Shinpei, and some of his own sketches from one of the sketchbooks that he brought to America. So it ends with him coming to America. And, it's a short, I should have it out, but it's a slim book, but it's just gorgeous and wonderful story.
And all the 12-year-olds are going to want their own apartments.
Yes.
Bluefish by Pat Schmatz. Meet Travis and Velveeta. Quiet Travis misses his home in the woods and his dog who disappeared a few weeks ago. And he's also harboring a secret, and that is that he can't read. Sassy Velveeta speaks her mind, but quietly mourns the loss of a close friend. An unlikely friendship develops in Bluefish. And on this page, there's a link to this interview with the author, Pat Schmatz, and I think she kind of sums up what this book is about really well. She was asked what the story was really about, and a friend of hers said it's a love story, and she replied, no, it's not a love story, but thought about it and says that it is, and that she realized, this is a quote, "It was not about romantic love so much as a love story of small kindnesses and connection. What the story is really about is the connection that comes when you pay attention enough to really see somebody. Those moments when you just see that one glimpse and go, oh, there you are." So that's Bluefish by Pat Schmatz.
If you've read the Wednesday Wars, you probably remember Doug Swiatek. This is Doug Swiatek's story. He's new in town, he doesn't have any friends yet, his home life is not so good, and his brother has developed this reputation as a troublemaker, so everybody thinks Doug is up to no good too. I put up an interview with author Gary D. Schmidt, who talks about the book, so we can play that. It's a little long, so we don't have to watch the whole thing.
How good is the dog?
We're standing on what's known around here as the old Buck Farm. This is 45 acres of the original farm, which was much bigger. This is our herb garden over here. Over there is our fruit garden. It's right now under the snow and under a lot of manure. I've written a new novel called Okay for Now. Okay for Now is a companion book more than a sequel. You really don't need anything from Wednesday Wars to figure out what's going on in this. Each one is meant to be independent with a crossover of some characters. Wednesday Wars is set in 1967, 1968. And in this book, it follows the next year, 68, 69. The book follows Doug Swiatek. Doug is struggling with a new place. He is the new kid in town, and all the things that that means. He has no friends there yet. He's very concerned about school, going into 8th grade, has a family which is exploding, has a brother who's fighting in Vietnam. He's in a place where he is very, very uncomfortable. What Doug wants to do in the novel is to find the 9 plates that are missing from this original Audubon volume and bring them back. And in that sense, the novel is really about wholeness. Can he bring it back, all those plates back, so that he will have a whole Audubon book, be perfect? That mirrors his desire to become a whole person and reflects some of the, I think, themes of the book in that sense. In addition, it's about a time when the country's at war. It's a war which seems intractable and unending. It's a war which seems to be against not just a nation, but a kind of movement. And in many ways, that's where our middle school kids are right now. Okay for Now has the added thing.
Finish that on your own.
Yeah. I've also posted a video of Gary Schmidt reading an excerpt at the National Book Award nominees ceremony, and it's really worth watching if you get a chance. I've also put up a post of his website and also the Audubon database of images of all the Audubon's books, Audubon pictures.
It's a brilliant book.
We're going to come back to Wonderstruck. A little technical switcheroo.
Oh.
So.
Okay. The Great Wall of Lucy Wu by Wendy Wanglong Shang. Lucy Wu builds walls. Walls in her room to keep out Yi Po, walls in her mind to avoid her cultural heritage. How can Lucy find a way to let the walls down and the happiness in? And this is a story of a girl whose relative comes to visit from China just as Lucy is about to get a room of her own. And it's this, what happens when they end up having to share a room, this sort of culture clash and generational clash. Wonderfully written, and I think Linda included a picture of the Great Wall of China, and then I think links to Wendy Shang's website.
Okay. This is Storm Runners by Roland Smith, and one of my students created this book trailer, so I'm just gonna let that speak for itself.
great.
It's great in audio too, the book.
The Silver Bowl by Diane Stanley. Watch out, Molly. Be careful of what visions you see when you polish that silver bowl. Can a castle scullery maid really save the royal family from a deadly curse? This is a story of, I don't want to read the whole thing, but I would call it historical fantasy, because there's just a tinge of fantasy to it, but Diane Stanley does a great job of evoking time and place, and this girl's standing as a scullery maid against the backdrop of this royal family. It charmed me. I don't know about the rest of you, but it charmed me.
Yeah, it did. I'd say it's a fantasy.
It's a fantasy. And I don't know what link. I think she maybe gave a link to, there's a picture of Diane Stanley and then a link to her webpage as well.
Okay, The Running Dream is a really inspiring book. It's about a girl named Jessica, and Jessica is the star of the high school track team. She's breaking state records. She's incredible. And then one day, on the way home from a track meet, the bus is hit, and she wakes up in the hospital, and her leg has been amputated, and she's just absolutely crushed. She's always defined herself as a runner, so she just doesn't know what to do since she's lost the one thing that's always made her exceptional. We don't have to watch the video, but it's a video of Gwendolyn Van Drennen talking about what inspired her to write this story. At one point in the story, Jessica's coach shows her this video of Oscar Pistorius, who is one of the fastest men in the world, but he's also got two prosthetic running legs, and she's just totally inspired and realizes that she may be able to run again. And so I've posted a video of Oscar Pistorius, an interview and video footage of him running. And this is Water Balloon by Audrey Vernick. To Marley, summer has always meant three things: freedom, no school, and water balloon blitzes. And if you don't know what water balloon blitzes are, they're water balloon attacks. This summer, nothing is going as planned. Her parents have gotten divorced. She has to live with just her dad for this summer. And her two best friends no longer want to hang out with her. So she's having a really rough time. What do you do when everything and everybody around you is changing except for you? And I've included Audrey Vernick's website.
The Fingertips of Duncan Dorfman by Meg Wolitzer. Duncan Dorfman has a special power, but no friends. April Blunt wants the same respect that her athletic, I spelled that wrong, crud. Athletic siblings receive, oops. I can fix it, thank you. Nate Saviano just wants to fulfill his father's ambition and get on with his life. 3 teenagers and their partners come together at the National Youth Scrabble Championships. So if you scroll down a little bit, I was going to do videos, and I didn't have time. So instead, I went into my cafeteria in my middle school, and I convinced kids to act out parts. So oddly enough, the boy on the left, who's playing Duncan, and he has Scrabble tiles attached to his fingers, actually has already read the book. So in the middle of filming, or in the middle of taking the picture and setting up the shot, he looks at me and he says, "Wait, Miss Linney, I read this book." I said, "Yes, I know you did. That's why I picked you as Duncan." Really? Yeah. The young boy on the right is Andrew, and then there's Carl is. I should have put the names down. They're real names, but it's probably better. And then the second picture is it's a contrived shot. April and her best friend Lucy spend a quiet afternoon on the lawn thinking deep, deep thoughts. It's actually a health brew. Yeah, you like the lawn? It's green paper. And there's a towel for their precious heads, yes. And then the last one is Nate and Maxie riding their skateboards. Okay. Neither one of these kids can ride skateboards at all, but the kids who could ride the skateboards didn't really look good for the shot, so I just said, "Stand here, put your arms up." And there was I had a technical advisor standing next to me going, "I don't put my arms up when I skateboard." I said, "You should." Yeah. So that's supposed to be the city. Anyway, there's a video. of Meg on YouTube being interviewed by I think it's the National Youth Scrabble Society. It's an hour-long interview, really an hour long. You don't have to see it. The second one is a video interview with the current national Scrabble champions who are middle school students, which is a really cute video. And then the last one is the National Scrabble Association website.
Warp Speed. And this is by Lisa Yee, who also wrote Millicent Min, Genius, Emily Ebers, and that whole series of books. Okay, so Marley Sandelsky sometimes speaks Klingon when he feels nervous. He carries around Star Trek action figures and likes spending time with the AV Club. But Marley also feels invisible, except to the bullies at school. When Marley becomes an unwilling track star and discovers that he might have what it takes to be cool, should he take it? And how can he stand up against the bullies? And Lisa Yee's website is also linked here. So Wonderstruck is by Brian Selznick, who also wrote The Adventures of Hugo Cabret, written in both words and pictures, two parallel stories that connect in the end in a really beautiful way.